I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them blue.
Welcome to Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, powered by Jack's Angels, where we talk about your experiences, advocacy news, research, and today's heroes for kids. We are here to bring hope to the unthinkable but real experience of a child diagnosed with cancer. Jack's Angels advocacy mission is to provide a voice for children with cancer to effect change for a more hopeful future for those to come. Childhood Cancer Talk Radio starts right now. Here is your host, Janet Demeter.
Welcome to Childhood Cancer Talk Radio on this lovely Thursday, October 20th, 2016. We have a great show for you today featuring a rare leukemia for which we'd like to raise some awareness and the brave young lady who's fighting it with determination, Caitlin Lee, 12 years of age. And her mom, Kelly, and the disease is called BPDCN, and that stands for Blastic, plasmacytoid, dendritic cell neoplasm. BPDCN is an extremely rare subtype of acute leukemia and was formerly known as Blastic natural killer, NK, cell lymphoma. Now, this is all science, and it's a little over my head, and I'm sure our guests will help me understand this a little better today. But in researching just a little bit, the precise developmental pathway of plasmacytoid dendritic cells, which this is, of course, is controversial. They're still trying to figure out exactly what that is, but the current evidence favors a derivation from a common macrophage. And what macrophages are, it really comes from the Greek big eaters, and they're a type of white blood cell that engulfs and digests cellular debris, foreign substances, microbes, cancer cells, anything else that doesn't have the type of protein specific to healthy body cells on its surface. So these, what are called large phagocytes, are found in essentially all tissues. They patrol around for potential pathogens with an amoeba-like movement, and they engulf the debris. And so they have a very, very important purpose, but somehow, so basically the model is potentially that of some kind of mutation. It occurs in these macrophages, they become malignant and take on this very specific and rare form. Maybe. And so frightening as it is, when we're up against a pioneering area of research like this, there's always the opportunity to expand our scientific understanding. And we're banking on that right now, along with Miss Caitlin's incredible determination and fortitude to move forward with experimental treatment and some established therapeutics applied to this case with a really hopeful outcome. But that's where I'm going to leave it and let the experts set me straight here. So Caitlin, Kelly, welcome to Childhood Cancer Talk Radio.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi. I'm so glad you're here with us today, Caitlin. Can you tell us where you are?
I am at the City of Hope right now in Duarte, California.
Wow. Are you there for an extended stay, or are you just there for the day?
No, I am here for the day. It's a follow-up. I'm just getting some blood work and a Hickman dressing change.
Wow. So, Caitlin, tell me a little bit about, what your life was like and how you were going along, and then all of a sudden something happened and you ended up, after a period of time, getting diagnosed with this BPDCN. I hope I said it right.
Okay, so I had a pretty normal life. I did gymnastics, and one day I hit my leg on a low wall at my gym, and I had a big bruise on my left ankle, and I just thought it would go away. I thought it was a normal bruise, and then it started forming a bump, and me and my mom went to my pediatrics, and they thought it was a popped blood vessel, and the blood came out and hardened, and that's what made the bump. And so they just sent us home and told us to put a heat pad on it so the blood would eventually melt and dissipate. Yeah. And then it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, so they said they kept sending us home, and they told us to put tea bags on it and all sorts of stuff. Yes. And then it started rupturing, and that's when they sent us to get an MRI because they knew something was wrong. And the first MRI messed up, and so I had to take another MRI, and that showed that I had a tumor. And so I was sent to Dr.
Were you scared when you heard that it was a tumor?
Because we thought the worst case scenario was a sarcoma, and how would I get it surgically removed and all that stuff. And then, so Dr. Firmino, he did a biopsy on my leg, and it came on June 2nd. We came in, and he said it was leukemia, ALL, which was a misdiagnosis. And then on June 3rd, we got a call and said it was BPDCN, which is a rarer form of leukemia. So.
Right, and is it true that they've just recently even named it as a separate entity in and of itself? It's often misdiagnosed, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But you had a second opinion.
I had a second opinion. So we sent the tissue over to Seattle, right? And to another hospital, and they confirmed it as BPDCN. So.
Wow. So how long was that whole process then? Was it quick? It was quick once the MRI? Go ahead.
It was, once we did the MRI, it was like boom, 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 boom. But the whole thing took about, since I hit my leg, it's been like since December of last year.
Wow. So basically between December and June, you had to wait for an MRI.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that because I hear it a lot, and you know how things can progress and get to a certain point, and it's good to catch it early. But I'm so glad that they did. So when you were first diagnosed, what did they tell you about BPDCN? Are you there, Caitlin? Or Kelly? Oh, okay. No worries. Just to our listeners out there, I was going to ask her what the doctors were going to tell her about this disease, and I'm going to say it for you again. Blastic plasmacytoid dendritic cell neoplasm, BPDCN. And for a long time, it's been misdiagnosed as ALL, and I forget the name of this other, AML. Are you there?
Yes.
Yay! Okay. Yeah, I was just telling the listeners that I wanted to ask you what the doctors told you, or the clinicians told you when you first learned what the disease was. What happened next?
Then we learned about the clinical.
We learned about the clinical trial, SL401.
Mm-hmm.
And they put me on that.
Well, we had to get Hi, I'm Caitlin's mom, Kelly. So we had to get compassionate approval through the FDA because it's an adult. It's only protocol.
It was 18 or over, right?
Correct.
Gotcha.
And Caitlin's only 12.
Right. And how long did the compassionate review process take?
Really quickly, because they had already known about Caitlin through Dr. Firmino, and as soon as she was diagnosed with it, I think the paperwork was Dr. Stein. 2 to 3 weeks was the time when the paperwork was submitted to the time it got approved.
Fantastic. That's great. I love hearing that. Now there's a special, I don't know if you've ever seen kidsvcancer.org, Kids versus Cancer, but they have a compassionate use navigator there, a system built into their site that helps you to navigate your way around how do you apply, how do you get the support. So it sounds like in your experience it went very quickly and pretty much built in, which is fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, City of Hope is awesome. Yeah. I mean, we got here, and, I mean, we felt like everything was taken care of. We just needed to show up. Paperwork was just, everything went so smoothly.
That's really good to hear. I know you're out there. We're in Southern California, listeners, we're talking about. So you're out in Duarte right now. Is that the one that you've always gone to?
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. We're coming to you today I'm over here in the Santa Clarita Valley, and it just so happened that Miss Caitlin and her mom came to our Cancer Moonshot Regional Summit. And so I think she had just been, gosh, that was the 29th of June. Mm-hmm. So she had just been diagnosed, and it was really, it was scary. You don't know what's going to happen. You're just learning all this stuff for the first time. And it sounds like you navigated it pretty much like a pro, despite however you may have felt, right? Mm-hmm. So just for a minute here, we're going to go to a quick break, okay? And then we're going to come back. And I let our listeners know you're listening to Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, where every child is a life, not a number, on TogiNet.com. I'm Janet Demeter, your host, and today I'm talking with Caitlin Lee, 12 years old, with her mom, Kelly, about a rare acute leukemia known as BPDCN. We'll be right back after these messages from our TogiNet sponsors. Don't go away.
Stay tuned. Janet will be right back with more on Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, where kids come first for the cure.
LinkedIn. It's a great tool and a great way to do business in today's social media driven world. And Carol McManus is the LinkedIn Lady with the LinkedIn Lady Show, Tuesday and Wednesday afternoons at 4 p.m. Eastern on allbusinessradionetwork.com. The LinkedIn Lady Show is designed to inform, inspire, and educate businesses. Every social media site has a specific demographic, personality, and purpose. And the LinkedIn Lady will interview a variety of guests, such as business owners who can showcase their business and talk about how they use social media, such as Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google+, Pinterest, and of course, LinkedIn. For more on Carol and the show, check out her website, LinkedInLady.com. As trends change and new applications become available, the LinkedIn Lady Show will bring that information to you in an easy-to-use, fun, and engaging way. Every Tuesday and Wednesday afternoons at 4 p.m. Eastern, it's the LinkedIn Lady Show with Carol McManus on allbusinessradionetwork.com.
It's words you never heard.
There are more cats in U.S. households than any other pet. Most allurophiles or cat owners know that unlike dogs, taking Kitty for a ride in the car isn't any fun. I mean, you never see a cat hanging its head out the window, enjoying the breeze. Today's domestic cat is descended from a small Mid-Eastern wildcat. A group of kittens is called a Kindle, and a group of adult cats is a clouder. What's the word for those dust balls composed entirely of cat hair? Fluffernuggins. Personally, I like pigs better than either cats or dogs. Dogs are subservient and look up to man. Cats are aloof and look down on man. A pig, however, will look you in the eye and see as equal.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
welcome back to more great conversation on Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, because every child's life deserves hope. Here's Janet.
And we're back with Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, brought to you by Jack's Angels Foundation, in part for pediatric brain tumor awareness and research and advocacy for children with cancer. I'm Janet Demeter, your host, and today we're discussing an aggressive leukemia called BPDCN, which is it's actually more often an adult cancer. But here today we have 12-year-old Caitlin Lee, who attends 7th grade at Rancho Pico Junior High in Stevenson Ranch, California, here in the Santa Clarita Valley. She's academically gifted, preferring math and science, and loves gymnastics, and is originally from the Pacific Northwest. Caitlin is here today to share her experience with BPDCN and her mom, Kelly. Ladies, before the break, we were discussing the diagnosis, also the clinical trial that you're still currently on or graduating from. Could you tell me a little bit about that, SL401?
Okay, so I finished SL401 because on the first phase of SL401, it worked wonderfully. My tumor actually was the size of a tennis ball before I did any of this.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah, and it was still progressively getting bigger, but I went to SL401 and it took it down. It became less round, more flat, and but after the 4th, 5th phase, the SL401 didn't work that much anymore, so we stopped it, and I finished chemo.
So you're doing the traditional...
Yes, I am doing the traditional chemotherapy now.
I see. And what all does that entail?
So Caitlin has phase A and phase B of her chemo treatment. And, so phase A includes 2 different types of toxins. I don't have the name of the toxin off the top of one, off the top of my head, but it has worked wonderfully. Her tumor is almost completely flat, and part of the characteristic of BPDCN is that not only is there a tumor, but the color of your skin is also discolored. So it's purple,
red.
Yeah, red. There's like section where it's red, section where it's purple. And so now with chemo, her skin is starting to come back to more of a natural color, brown. And so that shows that it is working. And because BPDCN is so aggressive, it knows how to avoid the clinical drug SL401, and that's why it has been, reported that in tumors that are dense, like Caitlin, and more mature, it is harder to fight. And since Caitlin had her tumor since December of last year, not only was it hard, but it was also dense. So it had a lot of activity. When she had her scan, it showed a lot of activities there, and I think that's why the SL401 didn't completely put her into remission, because it was so dense. And so,
I see.
Because it's so aggressive, they determined that we need to immediately then put her on a chemo treatment to tackle it pretty aggressively, because it's smart. I mean, it over time it knew how to avoid the drug, and so now I think she only needs one more phase of chemo before she's in remission, and then she'll go into a transplant.
Wow. So what's interesting to me is that, the body and the cancer adapt, right? Because we're dealing with the immune system for the most part. Mm-hmm. And I was reading about the trial SF401. Is it true that it's basically derived from diphtheria?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's amazing that we could use something that's deadly and turn it into something helpful.
Yeah, and it one of the characteristics of BPDCN is it's got the protein 1, 2, 3, 4, and it attaches itself to that particular protein, and then it will self-destruct is what it does.
Wow. So, Caitlin, oh my gosh, you're just, you're a warrior. and you're definitely, what you're describing and the time that it took and, how progressed your tumor was by the time you were able to figure out what it was. It's really, to me, that's a vote for earlier MRIs for these kids. But that's just me. But it sounds like you're doing well. And how is your doctors feel good about your prognosis with your current treatment?
Yeah, they were amazed actually how much it went down, and also how strong I am still through the chemo.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
wow.
I think she's done so well with the chemo because the SL41 was able to reduce the number of chemos needed. So, he's coming in to the chemo treatment as a strong child because it was a targeted medication. And then also, she, now she only needs 2 phases of her chemo treatment as opposed to 4 or 5, who knows how many she would need. And, at any time you go through a chemo treatment, it just, it breaks her down is what it does because it kills all the good and bad. And she's such a warrior.
How long is the phase of treatment that you have to go through? Or do you have to miss a lot of school, or do you keep going to school?
I'm actually unenrolled in school. I have a friend. Her mom had graduated from Caltech, and she's coming over and tutoring me in math and science.
Awesome.
Yeah. And so I'm ahead of everyone at school right now in math and science, and in English and history, I am being tutored by a teacher who comes in when I am inpatient.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So you're keeping your school up, and I'm sure you're ahead of the game.
Yeah. So the mother who is tutoring Caitlin, we're so grateful that she is willing to do this. And it was so, she made a statement that was so special. She said that Caitlin inspired her because going through all of this at 12 years old and wanting to still study and learn is very inspiring to her.
Oh, how could it not be? That's amazing. Caitlin, do you have any ideas about what you'd like to do with your math and science? Are there a few things floating around, or are you?
I want to be a biochemical or biomedical engineer.
Brilliant.
One of those, yes.
Brilliant. Hopefully we'll get more funding for basic research from the federal government to create more jobs for brilliant people like you. At least that's what I'm hoping that our next administration will do. Yeah, definitely. So do you miss your friends at school? Do they come visit you?
Yes, they do. All my closest friends always visit me, and now that now that I'm home right now, I can visit my friends a lot, and that's nice.
That's good. Is there anything you miss?
Mm-hmm. Just going to school is, yeah.
Okay. I always tell kids to listen to this when they're when they don't have an affliction like that and they're sour on school. It's like, you know what? It ain't so bad.
Yeah.
Right? Wow. So, all right. So you're partway through the second round, or are you in your first round again?
So you completed 2 weeks ago. I started chemo on that Monday, and I had it until Wednesday, and then on Friday and Saturday, my immune system was down. It was kind of bad. I was just very lethargic. I didn't want to eat, but Sunday, Monday, I started to get better, and on Thursday, I had another chemo, and that was my last chemo, and then I got to go home the next week, that Tuesday, and I was given Neupogen shots because they were going to collect my my stem cells on the next Monday, but my white blood count shot up a lot faster than the doctor thought, so I did it on Friday, and they collected 70. They only needed 5 million, and they collected 72 million.
No, 13 million.
13?
That's amazing. Well, we're going to take another really quick break for messages from our TogiNet sponsors. I'm Janet Demeter, your host for Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, here today with Caitlin and Kelly Lee, hoping to raise some awareness for the subtype of acute leukemia, and of course rooting for Caitlin on the long haul on this brave and pioneering journey. Don't go away.
Stay tuned. Janet will be right back with more on Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, where kids come first for the cure.
Welcome to Geraldine Tegelov Live, the show that shares with you the secrets of redefining, reinventing, and rebuilding your life. Having pulled herself from the rubble of financial ruin and having gone on to create a highly successful career, Geraldine has become an expert in the art of transformation. She believes that it doesn't matter where you are right now, how overwhelmed you feel, or how impossible the task of turning your life around may seem. You can do it. Stay tuned as metaphysician, international best-selling author, and intuitive Geraldine Tegelov gives you the inner understanding and the outer practical how-to to create your amazing life. Gain a fresh perspective on how to redefine, reinvent, and rebuild your life. Join Geraldine Tegelov live every Tuesday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the TogiNet Radio Network.
When airplanes first began carrying passengers, everyone was treated to first-class accommodations. Caviar and sandwiches were presented on porcelain plates, with beverages served in crystal. Flying was truly a special event, as passengers wore suits and evening dresses. What do you call a person who is afraid to fly? An aeroacrophobic. The airlines required stewardesses to be unmarried, and many were nurses as well. To be a pilot was respected and revered. What do you call a person who chooses a career based on the glamorous image it conveys? A MODOK. A typical flight in those days from London to Singapore would cost over $17,000 today and take 8 days. What's another word for jet lag? Dysrhythmia.
It's marching in reverse.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
Welcome back to more great conversation on Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, because every child's life deserves hope. Here's Janet.
Welcome back, friends. I'm Janet Demeter with Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, talking today here with Caitlin and Kelly Lee about BPDCN, an extremely rare subtype of acute leukemia, especially in children. And this is the point in the show before the reprise of our conversation where I let you know the latest in advocacy news or related subject matter. First of all, every childhood cancer is classified as rare. That's right. Any disease with less than 200,000 incidents over a year's time in this country is classified that way. Unfortunately, it's been licensed to ignore research for some of the deadliest cancers, even with certain numbers of children who will die for sure. Fortunately, our extensive research in leukemias and lymphomas have improved the survival statistics for children with cancer overall. But this can be misleading. In fact, only 4% of our National Cancer Institute budget for research, our tax dollars that work for cancer research, go to pediatric cancer research as a whole. Brain tumors are now leading in incidence slightly over blood cancers. This was announced at the last Congressional Caucus for Childhood Cancer Summit just last September. And, of course, we're 2016 here. But retaining their place, unfortunately, as usual, as the leading killer of our kids with cancer. And ironically, pediatric brain cancer is one of the least funded areas of research by our federal government and the private sector alike. So now brain cancer is in a similar position to leukemias 40 years ago. And thanks to the Leukemia Lymphoma Society and other advocacy groups for leukemia patients, the research landscape has been dramatically improved for those patients, and thank goodness. Advocacy for childhood cancer is at an all-time high for participation and effectiveness. So, folks, please support the current legislation for federal funding of basic scientific research. This morning, the president of MIT, Raphael Reif, let us know on CBS this morning that we are nearing breakthroughs on several scientific fronts, from clean energy and climate control to Alzheimer's disease, which currently has no cure. That our scientists now, they can see this in our future, but what happens in actuality will depend directly on this funding. All the philanthropy and industry incentives in the world will not suffice to advance our most crucial and basic scientific innovations, says Reif. In 1968, 9.1% of our federal budget went to basic scientific research. Last year, that number was 3.6%. This reminds me of the 3.8% of the NCI budget going to pediatric cancer. And that NCI budget is just a small portion of that 3.6% basic research money. So it's a small percentage of a small percentage of 3.6%. Go to the advocacy page at www.jacksangels.org and support the various pieces of legislation you will find there that is up for grabs literally right now. If you put your word in, that means pick up the phone, do an email. There are some automatic emails that you can do and actually add your own words or write a letter. Chances are higher that if said legislation does not pass, and most of it won't, it'll be reintroduced with more recognition next session, and nothing could be more important for research right now. On that note, for childhood cancer, Jack's Angels Foundation, one of the supporting interests of this show, has helped create an important awareness resolution for childhood cancer called the National DIPG Awareness Resolution, introduced by Congressman Steve Knight. So this year, Jack's Angels Advocacy Mission was proud to refer to the introduction of the lesser-known HRES 586, and it'll probably have a different name next year. Every childhood cancer bill that has had some sort of provision examining closely the flow of funds within NCI, and which also asks for more consideration for pediatric cancer, has not survived. The STAR Act, which is a fantastic bill and has wide support, it's very comprehensive, it comes closest to it, but that very particular issue is not confronted. The Race for Children Act addresses relationship with private sector industry, as does the Creating Hope Act, part of the 21st Century Cures Act. Please continue to ask your reps in Congress to support these bills, as this is the only way that they will be reintroduced next year. But back to the DIPG Awareness Resolution. Why is it so important? It exemplifies the neglect of childhood cancer by the medical research system using the example of DIPG, diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma, arguably one of the deadliest, if not the deadliest, pediatric cancer. Most importantly, it asks for there to be elevated consideration for years of life lost, meaning children, and low survival rates in the research grant process, as currently these don't in all actuality appear to be factors in that equation. So please ask your reps to support the National DIPG Awareness Resolution. Even though you may not be that familiar with DIPG, it's there for a reason. This is not to make it more important, but again, to exemplify the neglect of pediatric cancer research and to insist on our children's lives being a priority. And so back to our friends and our guests here today. This is Caitlin. She's 12 years old. She's in 7th grade. And her mom, Kelly. And they are talking to us today about a disease called BPDCN, Blastic, plasmacytoid, dendritic cell neoplasm. Wonderfully, we're finding that there's a good amount of research happening for the disease despite its rarity, and I'm hopeful that that's because our leukemia and lymphoma research is so prolific, thank goodness, right now. So before the break, we were talking about, oh my gosh, they were collecting stem cells or was it white blood cells? You were getting counts.
Yeah.
Okay. Could you tell me a little more about that process? Because I was confused. Were they trying to determine how you were reacting or what else you needed? Or what was that for exactly?
Okay, so for the stem cells, what they do is they give me Neupogen shots. My mom had to give it to me every day, and that stimulated the bone marrow, so the bone marrow would make more cells. And then on Friday, they connected me to this machine. It kind of looks like an IV machine, and the blood came through one tube, and it collected all the stem cells, and they gave me back my blood in the other tube. So they collected 13 million stem cells as a backup for the transplant, because I have a cord currently in Spain. It is a 6 out of 6 number match, which is considered really good, because usually it's like, with cords, it's usually like 5 out of 6.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's only out of 6 because the cells are so young. And because with a person match, it would usually be 10, because they're usually older and mature. So.
Wow. So they basically you were stimulating your own marrow to make lots of new stem cells to help you in case you have trouble with the transplant. Then is that correct?
Yeah. In case the cord cells doesn't engraft. Correct.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's fascinating. So what are you expecting with this transplant? How long does the procedure take? And
so it's probably the procedure, like the transplant part, doesn't take long. It's the recovering part. So I'll probably be in the hospital so after the transplant, I have to be in isolation for 100 days. That means no one could come into my room without that's sick. They have to wear a mask, gloves, the whole thing. And I can't go out of my room. And then for 100 days, and then after that, my doctor will probably keep me in the hospital for a little more, just so my counts can go up again, and I'll be able to go home after that.
Right. Talk about your radiation.
But, so, since I got the chemo and the radiation I'm getting is going to wipe out all my bone marrow so they can put the new stem cells in, and that could become new bone marrow. But the radiation, it'll, for the whole body radiation, I'll be, they're going to do it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's going to be 3 doses Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and 3 doses, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and 2 doses on Friday. I'll go basically morning, afternoon, evening, and it'll be 40 minutes. I have to stand on this platform, and they're going to give me radiation.
And why do they do the radiation right before the transplant?
Yes.
What's that? Did I misunderstand? Okay.
They're going to do it before, yes.
And they try to do that just to make sure they got everything? I mean, how?
Yeah.
What? Oh, I see.
Sure, yeah.
Wow.
Because her own marrow has to be killed off. I mean, basically, what they found is transplants are more successful if all her tumor are killed off, and also,
everything.
I mean, basically, everything has to be killed off because you don't want the new stem cells to come in and attack your own stem cells. So if there's no stem cells there, they will start engrafting and doing what they should once it's introduced to her body, rather than, look for foreign
agents to come in because
it would consider her own stem cells a foreign object and would start, fighting.
So that's incredible. I mean, you basically have to rebuild the immune system. I've heard this before, where they have to get rid of everything and then start over. So, to our listeners, you're listening to Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, where we aim to provide a forum for discussion for patients, families, caregivers, advocates, clinicians, researchers, and doctors, all somehow strongly affected by childhood cancer, to share information, raise awareness, and promote a strong sense of community and support. We'll be right back with Caitlin and Kelly and more about BPDCN after these messages from our TogiNet sponsors. Don't go away.
Stay tuned. Janet will be right back with more on Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, where kids come first for the cure.
LinkedIn. It's a great tool and a great way to do business in today's social media driven world. And Carol McManus is the LinkedIn Lady with the LinkedIn Lady Show, Tuesday and Wednesday afternoons at 4 p.m. Eastern on allbusinessradionetwork.com. The LinkedIn Lady Show is designed to inform, inspire, and educate businesses. Every social media site has a specific demographic, personality, and purpose. And the LinkedIn Lady will interview a variety of guests, such as business owners who can showcase their business and talk about how they use social media, such as Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google+, Pinterest, and of course, LinkedIn. For more on Carol and the show, check out her website, LinkedInLady.com. As trends change and new applications become available, the LinkedIn Lady Show will bring that information to you in an easy-to-use, fun, and engaging way. Every Tuesday and Wednesday afternoons at 4 p.m. Eastern, it's the LinkedIn Lady Show with Carol McManus on allbusinessradionetwork.com.
It's merging neighborhood.
I always get a kick out of the warning labels companies attach to prevent lawsuits from the hooky-crooky of this world. A warning label on a dishwasher cautioned not to put any person in the unit. Speaking of dishwashers, one product warning on a television remote control read, "Not dishwasher safe." That's too bad because we know how dirty the remote control gets. In fact, we press the buttons even harder when we know the battery is dead. What are we, part of the ridiculati? A warning on a baby stroller read, "Remove child before folding." Here's one for the blunderbusses and popinjays among us. A label on a letter opener read, "Safety goggles recommended." Call me snarky, but any society that needs this many disclaimers has too many lawyers, pettifoggers, and snollygosters.
It's merging neighborhood.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
You'll always have my
to more great conversation on Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, because every child's life deserves hope. Here's Janet.
And we're back for the last part of our show in conversation with Caitlin and Kelly about BPDCN here on Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, where every child is a life, not a number, on TogiNet.com. I'm Janet Demeter, your host, and before the break, we were discussing the whole process that precedes a bone marrow transplant, basically, where Caitlin would have radiation basically to destroy the immune system that was there so that it wouldn't attack the new grafts that were placed with the transplant. And I'm learning something new each time I do one of these shows, especially when I have patients like Caitlin on. I learn so much. And she, excuse me, mentioned something to me over the break about the fact that the bone graft, the donor that they were using, was from a baby. Caitlin, are you still there? I didn't lose you, did I? Okay, good. Yeah, could you tell me more about that? Because I was like, whoa.
Okay, because it's a cord, like an umbilical cord cells, I'll basically be getting the cells of a baby. That means my immune system will be that age, and it won't be 12 years old. If I were, for example, if I were to get a human bone marrow, then a 22-year-old, I would have a 22-year-old immune system. And since I'm getting a baby's immune system, I have to get all my immunization shots again from birth, basically.
You're clean slate, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, Thank you for clarifying, because, it wasn't connecting in my head when he kept saying cord. I was trying to figure out, is that a piece of bone? What is that? And it's the umbilical cord.
Yes.
Of course. Everyone, that's a big thing to have your umbilical cord saved and frozen now. I remember when I was having my babies, 10 years ago. So I can only imagine now the innovative things they're doing with stem cells. It's really amazing.
But the interesting thing is they don't recommend mothers freezing their cord for their own babies, because you're usually a half match. So had I saved my cord when I had Caitlin, it wouldn't have done her any good, because it would have been just a half match.
Wow.
But thank goodness someone out of Spain froze theirs and had donated, and is considered a perfect match for Caitlin. For someone who's mostly Asian, and then to get a stem cord out of Spain is quite incredible also for us.
That's great. So if I could, because we didn't really talk to you, Mom, about your background and where you're from, but tell us about that. You're originally from Southeast Asia?
Yeah, so I'm Vietnamese, but we migrated to the States in 1980, and I grew up in Portland, Oregon. And then for most of Caitlin's young adult life, I raised her in the Seattle area, and then we moved to Stevenson Ranch in 2011 for work. And when I had Caitlin, I actually was working in Southeast Asia, and our company actually brought Pizza Hut into Vietnam. And and at the time it was only the second franchise to enter the emerging market.
Wow.
So it was quite exciting, but it required me to travel so much, and so they provided a nanny, but I can't take back those years, and so I've decided to move back to the States to raise her when she started kindergarten. And she has always done really well academically. She's in what they call GATE, which is for gifted. And in fact, we just got the results back from her state test, and she got 100% in both English and math, and that's with the new Common Core testing that they have. So it's no longer multiple choice. You have to explain how you get the answer. And so even if you got the right multiple choice answer, but if you can't explain how you got, you won't get 100%. So I'm so proud that she still wants to learn, and, that she is actually the first person who will ask questions whenever we go to see the doctor. So in terms of pediatric patient kind of taking their disease and their health into their own hands, Caitlin has taught me so much, and I'm so proud of her. She knows what she has. She'll be the first to tell anyone, and she's not, so she had her hair shaved last Tuesday, and she's so proud of what she's going through, and when anyone asks, she doesn't hesitate to tell people that this is what cancer looks like, that she has cancer, so you can stare or you can try to learn from me. Literally, we went to a gymnastics, and it was an open gym, one of her friends invited, and so she had, her tumor wrapped, and then she had her PICC line wrapped, and so before she entered the gym, they said, wow, you have a lot of injury, what's there? And she just looked at the lady and said, this is a tumor, and this is a PICC line, and I have cancer, and then she ran off.
Yeah, good for her.
And it took her a second to kind of just digest that, and she looked at me and she said, okay, I did not expect that. But, it's great that she showed so much spirit, because usually you see these frail kids, and a lot of them are, but yet there are also so many of them when we get admitted that are laughing, and they really find joy in each other because they know what they're going through. And, no matter how much I try to understand what she's going through, I can't ever, when the chemo is breaking her down and she's throwing up and she's looking at me, telling me that she can't explain. It's so weird what's happening to her body. It's something she can't just put into words. And so, as much as, I want it on me, I just, you just feel so helpless,
Sure.
And then you feel even more helpless when they can't even put what they're going through in words, and that's all we have is, time and patience to sit there with them. So as a mom, it is so hard, but I'm so fortunate to have a daughter who's so strong, and she takes her health, and she would be the first to ask the nurse, what are you giving me? Why? How long is it for? What's the side effects? And she knows everything that they are giving her at the moment. And if the nurse, because they rotate, if they're doing something wrong, she would look at me, and as a mom, I would say, well, Caitlin is used to having so-and-so, so, she doesn't get this in pill form. She gets it, into the IV. They're like, well, let me go check the chart. So she's very, Yeah, so she's very aware. And so, I have any advice for, any child out there that is listening is, we are there for you. We're your soldier. You are the warrior. But you have to take your own health into your hands because we will miss things as parents. We're so emotional also. And we're not as smart. We're not as smart as you guys are. So make sure not only do you put the nurses and doctors and ask the questions, but also make sure that we are in line with, what's going on. I'm always here waiting for Caitlin to educate me as a mom, and she's taught me so much. Well,
you have an incredibly healthy and proactive attitude. I think that's the only way we can be, because no one else is going to do it for us, whether we're children or adults. So that's a good lesson for everyone out there. And what an example. Caitlin, you're just beyond your years in understanding and wisdom, and I want to keep following your case. I hope that you and your mom will consider coming back on to give us an update, and maybe we've had Lisa Solis DeLong on here before, but she's had, 2 sons who went through leukemia treatment, and, just the difference, all the progress we've made in those years, and where you are today, Caitlin. You're a pioneer with what you're doing, and I bet you'll be a fantastic scientist, and the world is very fortunate to have you. I'm so sorry because we're running out of time, but I wanted to thank you. That's all the time we have today on Childhood Cancer Talk Radio. But it was really an honor to have you with us, and you're our heroes of the week. So I hope you'll come back, and to our listeners, thank you so much for being with us today. We hope you come too.
Thank you.
I see them bloom for me and you.
We hope you have found inspiration from today's show. For more about Janet Demeter and her mission, visit jacksangels.org. As founder and president, Janet strives to assure that children with cancer and their parents have a voice.